Over the extent of U.S. history, extremist groups have emerged, spreading fear and violence across the nation. These groups, driven by radical ideologies and often violent agendas, have left a lasting impact on society. From white supremacists and religious extremists to radical environmentalists and anti-government militants, their activities have resulted in numerous deaths, bombings, assassinations, and widespread terror. These groups have targeted various communities and institutions, utilizing tactics ranging from arson and armed robberies to kidnappings and domestic terrorism. Law enforcement agencies have faced significant challenges in combating these threats, often leading to high-profile standoffs and extensive investigations. Earth Liberation Front, or ELF. ELF, active since the 1990s, is a radical environmental group known for using eco-terrorism to promote their cause. They targeted industries they believed were harming the environment, such as logging, SUVs, and housing developments. Their tactics included arson, vandalism, and sabotage, causing millions in property damage. One of their most significant attacks was the 1998 arson of the Vail Ski Resort in Colorado, resulting in $12 million in damages. While ELF aimed to avoid human casualties, their destructive methods and disregard for public safety made them a significant threat, drawing attention from federal law enforcement agencies. Phineas Priesthood. The Phineas Priesthood is not an organized group directly, but a concept adopted by individuals and small cells committed to white supremacy and anti-government ideologies. They draw inspiration from the biblical figure, Phineas, an advocate for violence, to achieve their goals. The priesthood is responsible for various crimes, including bank robberies, bombings, and murders. In the mid-1990s, members bombed an abortion clinic and a newspaper office in Spokane, Washington. Their actions have resulted in deaths and widespread fear, reflecting the dangers posed by decentralized extremist ideologies. The Phineas Priesthood's unpredictable and violent nature makes it a persistent threat in the realm of domestic terrorism. Symbionese Liberation Army, or SLA. SLA, active in the early 1970s, is infamous for the kidnapping of heiress Patty Hearst in 1974. The SLA, a left-wing revolutionary group, sought to overthrow the government and promote social change through violent means. They were responsible for multiple bank robberies, resulting in deaths, including the fatal shooting of customer Myrna Upsall. The SLA's operations culminated in a deadly shootout with the LAPD in 1974, leaving 6 members dead. Their extreme tactics and high-profile crimes struck fear into the public and law enforcement, highlighting the dangers posed by radical militant groups during a tumultuous period in American history. The Covenant, the Sword, and the Arm of the Lord, abbreviated as CSA, was a far-right Christian extremist group active in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Based in Arkansas, the CSA advocated for white supremacy, anti-Semitism, and the establishment of a theocratic state. They were involved in various criminal activities, including illegal weapons possession, counterfeiting, and plotting to poison water supplies. The group's compound was raided by federal agents in 1985, leading to a standoff and the eventual surrender of its members. The CSA's stockpiling of weapons and violent rhetoric made them a significant threat to public safety, and their downfall highlighted the dangers of militant religious extremism. Army of God. The Army of God is an underground network of anti-abortion extremists who advocate for and commit acts of violence against abortion providers. Active since the early 1980s, they have been responsible for bombings, arson, and assassinations. Notable incidents include the 1998 bombing of a Birmingham, Alabama abortion clinic that killed a security guard and severely injured a nurse. The group's actions have instilled fear among medical professionals and patients, significantly impacting reproductive health services. The Army of God's use of terror to advance their cause highlights the persistent threat posed by extremist ideologies that justify violence in the name of religious or moral beliefs. Aryan Nations. Founded in the 1970s by Richard Gerndt Butler, Aryan Nations is a white supremacist, neo-Nazi organization advocating for the establishment of a white-only nation. The group has been involved in numerous violent crimes, including robberies, bombings, and assassinations. One of their most notable crimes was in 1998, when a former Aryan Nations guard carried out a shooting at a Jewish community center in Los Angeles, injuring 5 people and killing a Filipino-American postal worker. Aryan Nations activities have led to multiple deaths and a pervasive sense of fear and racial hatred. The group's compound in Idaho was a center for extremist activities until a lawsuit by the Southern Poverty Law Center led to its closure in 2000. The Black Panthers. Founded in 1966 by Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, the Black Panther Party sought to address racial injustice and police brutality against African Americans. While initially focused on self-defense and community programs, the group became associated with armed confrontations with police. The FBI's COINTELPRO program targeted the Panthers, viewing them as a significant threat to national security. The group's violent clashes with law enforcement, such as the 1969 Chicago police raid that killed leader Fred Hampton, contributed to their dangerous reputation. Despite their community service initiatives, including free breakfast programs and health clinics, the Black Panthers' militant approach and violent encounters made them a polarizing and feared organization. Weather Underground. Active from the late 1960s to the mid-1970s, the Weather Underground was a radical left-wing group that sought to overthrow the U.S. government. Emerging from the Students for a Democratic Society, SDS, they engaged in bombings, jailbreaks, and riots to protest the Vietnam War and racial injustices. The group claimed responsibility for numerous bombings, including those at the U.S. Capitol, the Pentagon, and police stations, causing significant property damage, but few fatalities. The most infamous incident was the Greenwich Village townhouse explosion in 1970, killing 3 members while constructing a bomb. The Weather Underground's actions created a climate of fear and highlighted the intense domestic unrest during that era. The Order. Formed in 1983 by Robert J. Matthews, the Order was a white supremacist group inspired by the novel The Turner Diaries. They aimed to establish a racially pure homeland through violent means, including armed robberies and assassinations. The group's most notorious crime was the murder of Jewish radio host Alan Berg in 1984. They also carried out numerous bank and armored car robberies, amassing significant funds for their cause. The Order's violent activities and extreme ideology made them one of the most dangerous domestic terrorist groups of the 1980s. Law enforcement eventually dismantled the group, but not before they had left a legacy of fear and violence. Ku Klux Klan, or KKK. The Ku Klux Klan, founded in 1865, is one of the most infamous white supremacist groups in U.S. history. Known for their racist ideologies, the KKK terrorized African Americans, Jews, immigrants, and other minority groups through lynchings, bombings, and violent intimidation. During its peak in the 1920s, the KKK boasted millions of members. The group is responsible for numerous hate crimes, including the 1963 bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, which killed 4 young girls. The KKK's activities led to widespread fear and oppression, significantly impacting the civil rights movement and fostering a culture of racial violence and discrimination across the United States. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below.